Oh my god.
Welcome to DQP, Does.
Hey, that's my line, you son of a bitch.
Am I the only one who brought notes?
I got a phone.
I don't fucking take notes anymore.
Oh,
I
damn.
have notes.
I have a cellular telephone.
Yeah, Shane's always at the top of his game.
Welcome to the most professionally unprofessional movie podcast in the game.
God damn it. Welcome back to DQP Does, the Drafty Quarters Podcast Network movie review show where apparently everyone else wants to host it.
I
Fuck you,
don't,
Doug.
buddy.
Oh, just Doug and Nathan like to fuck with me, so. With me this evening is my producer, Russell.
What up?
And we have two guests this evening, Doug
Hi.
and Andrew.
Hello.
Tonight we're going to be going over Solo, a Star Wars story, which is like a prequel that happens after the prequels. What?
The timeline says that it takes place after episode 3.
Yeah, a prequel after the prequels. Yeah. Whatever. It's about Han Solo and how he became Han Solo. And
Literally.
yeah, like,
No.
Nah.
okay, do it. Fucking correct us, Doug. Let's do this. Let's get right into it. Fuck the cast. Which, you know, the cast, by the way, is Alden Ehrenreich. What the fuck?
Not
First
Charlie
name
Cox.
I can't fucking pronounce.
Aiden?
Huh?
Aiden?
It's Alden.
The L silent.
Whatever. That's Han. Jonas Suotamo. What the fuck? Chewbacca. Woody Harrelson. I can pronounce his name as Beckett. He and I went to the same college. We both dropped out. Amelia Clark is Kira. Donald Glover plays Lando Calrissian. Tandy Newton is Val. Phoebe Waller-Bridge is L337. Paul Bettany is Dryden Voss. Oh, I don't think a whole lot of the other ones matter a whole lot. Aaron Kellyman is Enfys Nest. Linda Hunt is Lady Proxima. That's about it. Anyway, you were going to correct us about stuff.
Well, it's not. It gives us the genesis of the Han Solo character, not the entirety of the Han Solo character. There's an entire decade of adventures in between the Han Solo movie.
Yeah, and I
A New
really
Hope.
would have rather watched that.
But, like, is there?
Yeah.
Because,
He just like goes from this to going to work for Jabba.
yeah, so he just, like, goes to work for Jabba after this, but everything we know about Solo in 4, 5, and 6 and all of the things that make him super awesome and a badass and all of the things that we were told to love about him all happen in a few weeks.
That's not true.
It is true, though.
It's not
So, like,
true.
at first, you were like, this whole movie takes place over the span of this long. There's a
it though?
time jump in the beginning,
Yeah.
and then after that, everything takes place in a couple of weeks.
That's not true.
I
Okay.
don't know how that's not true.
Because they go through hyperspace several times, and even going through hyperspace, it takes days or weeks, depending on how far you're going. So, yeah, they didn't show us the 2 weeks that they were on the Falcon going to Kessel because that wasn't important to the plot of the movie, but that is why characterizations jump forward, because they cut out the part of the movie that would have been boring because it wasn't a romantic comedy, it was an action adventure western.
Okay, but
Ugh.
still, like, all of the things like the Kessel Run. He hooks up with Chewie. Okay, so we have the beginning of the movie, which should have been a cold open before we got the written setup. So we have the beginning of the movie, and then it's where him and Emilia Clarke eventually get separated, and then there's a 3-year jump where he's an Imperial cadet, and then after that, it goes from iconic thing about Han, iconic thing about Han, iconic thing about Han, iconic thing about Han into the movie.
Because this is the story of Han Solo.
But it all happened like back to back.
Because they're giving you the highlights of Han Solo.
But all the highlights.
Putting all the highlights together like that makes them seem unimportant.
Yeah.
This is what he's trying to get at.
He doesn't seem like such a large character anymore after this movie to me. He seems like, oh, he did this like one thing this one time and it earned him notoriety.
He did several things
all at one time.
No, it was in one movie that you watched.
Yeah.
So did you want...
But they weren't broken up stories. They were all connected to the same story.
Yeah.
Like it was all
one thing.
It was all one thing.
Okay, this is the equivalent, the smuggler equivalent of Jedi training. Like, Scott Bakula, Sam Beckett.
No.
Taught him how to become a smuggler, made him the man he is, or led to the genesis of Han Solo as the character.
Right.
So we're learning what makes Han.
And that's fine, but
it's the Solo story. It's
right.
literally in the title. It's like
that's
fine.
No,
we understand that it's about Han Solo.
Yeah,
but it is the Han Solo story.
But it's the Han Solo story about all the things that we already knew compacted into one story, so we could digest it in 2 hours, 10 minutes, or however long it is. Right.
So
because that's how movies work.
The thing I didn't like about that. Beyond Russell saying that it made the character smaller, I didn't like that it was basically like he was just given everything that makes him, right? So like the stuff that he did of his own volition, there were choices that he made and things that he did were not the parts of him that we know from the other movies, right? So like he was given his name by some random guy. Okay, which was like one thing I could say was like, oh, okay, that's kind of funny or whatever.
Well,
like,
I mean, that's also how the names work in the Star Wars universe.
Well, he asked him what his family name was, and he was like, and he's like, you're by yourself, Solo. Okay, sure.
Yeah, but it's just like in Game of Thrones where like it's like Snow is the bastard name.
But that's established that this was a random guy coming up with a random thing.
That's established in the Star Wars universe.
Not in this movie. It's a random thing. He's like, you're by yourself. I'll call you Solo.
No, he's Solo, as in he then makes that his name.
Yeah, it's given to him by a random character.
Not a random character.
Yeah, it is a random character. It's just a guy standing there that's a recruiter.
He's
a random guy. It's not an important character.
Okay, he's not an important character, but he's not a random guy. It's not like
he is.
It's not like the scene in Oliver Twist where the dude is just yelling at him from the bread line. Like he is an established character.
No, he's not. Do you even know his name?
Yeah.
What's his name?
Timothy Dalton.
Fuck off. All right. Given this name by a random guy. Okay, so that's one. He gets thrown into a pit because he gets caught being a deserter after Beckett sells him out, and it's randomly Chewbacca. Like, I understand that they've got to meet somehow. That's fine. But like, okay, it has nothing to do with him, and it's random. Okay, hold on. It's random. All right, so he's gotten his name randomly. He's found Chewbacca randomly. His best friend later, the guy that he's his pet, which they kind of touch on that in this too. Because that was always like a meme, and then it became a thing in the movie, right?
I mean, it's a thing in the... Obi-Wan doesn't go to Han.
Yeah, I know. But that's not like a thing that is readily apparent if you're watching it casually until you like know things about the universe. Right? Like, because you don't know, they don't tell you how old Chewbacca is in the original trilogy. They don't tell, like, in the rest of the movies, he has no, like, place of power. He's just...
I disagree with that. They're always turning to Chewie for what they should do.
What?
Yeah, the people talk to Chewbacca like Chewbacca is in charge.
I don't
not
agree
ask,
with that.
They do not ask Han. Like, how many times in any of the movies are they like, Han, what should we do?
Han just, like, takes charge or, like, does whatever whoever else is in charge
Chewie
does.
growls for a while, and then Han is like, we should do this thing. Because Han is translating because not a lot of people speak Wookiee.
Anyway, he gets Chewie randomly.
It's called a meet cute. That's how most relationships
Anyway,
start.
So we continue on, and Beckett has this gun, and he's just like, yeah, here, take this. And it's the fucking blaster that Han has.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's just this random dude that he ran into that becomes his mentor. That's fine. Okay, but it's given to him. He didn't, like, take it off a body.
You mean like Luke's lightsaber?
Yeah, I don't like that either. But because
You
that's
mean
also...
like every sacred relic in any story that's ever happened?
No. Because often sacred relics in other movies are earned through some kind of adventure.
You mean the adventure that he's going on?
No, that would be if he found it when he was on Kessel or whatever, and he killed somebody and took it from them.
No, this is like the start where he's like, I'm a great pilot. Oh, yeah, sure, kid. Let's get you started. This is like the job that starts him down the path. This is the first Han Solo adventure. That's where he gets Excalibur. It's where he, like, this is how stories start.
Well, and Arthur pulled the sword from the stone. He wasn't handed it by...
Well, in some legends, he was literally handed it by the lady in the lake. Like,
yeah, but she wouldn't hand it to anyone else.
Did he try to hand it to Chewie? Did he give it to Val?
No, but he's a random. He's just like some kid that he picked up. Like,
he's not
this is
some
the
kid
thing.
that he picked up.
He's Han Solo, but he isn't Han Solo yet,
But even
as
at
you've
that
already
point,
saying.
he figures out that they're mercenaries. He figures out that the guy's an alien.
He gets all these things.
He has already befriended Chewbacca. He has outsmarted the mud troopers. He has found their ship. He has tracked them down.
It's so much happenstance for him to get these things that make him who he is, and then he's just like, oh well, now I'm a badass. So, and it's out of nowhere. Go ahead, Andrew.
I want to point out that, like, all the things that he's done, some of my issues with the movie are some of the things that he did. So when they first threw him in the cage with Chewbacca, he fell approximately 15 foot, just guessing, flat on his back. Has anyone ever fallen 2 feet flat on their back?
I've fallen a lot more than 2 feet flat on my back.
Okay, it takes a second to get your breath. The guy got back up.
He
also, when they're on the train,
soft mud though, it cushions the fall.
Still, 15 feet.
The snow thing in Empire was a lot better than the mud thing, Doug.
So
Snowfall was a lot bigger.
On that train heist scene, he also is able to pull Chewbacca up, and I went ahead and did the math on all of this. Chewbacca. This is me going under a little bit. The average Wookiee, which Chewbacca's a little bit taller, and obviously they're super ripped, muscle mass is heavy.
Oh yeah.
An average Wookiee weighs about 330 pounds. Han Solo, with one arm, pulled the Wookiee up while holding one arm on the train all the way up. This guy is a superhero.
Yeah.
I'm not disagreeing with that. Han Solo is a superhero.
Or a mild force user.
He is a mild force user. Like, that's been proven.
Well,
I guess
extended
it hasn't
universe.
been proven because nothing exists unless the ears tell you it does. But that's a fact, Jack.
Look, man, your extended universe is no more.
Yeah, it doesn't exist anymore. Those books, you might as well burn them.
It is dead. It
exists here, man.
Are you ready, Doug? It's called fan fiction now.
Ooh. Oh. he's gonna hit you. Either that, or he's gonna start talking about slash fiction, and then we're gonna be like, "God damn it,
Edit.
please stop."
So with all of the things happening in this movie, there's nothing that he goes and does after this. He just goes and then he's working for Jabba. There's no story. They already told the only story. They retold the only stories we knew about Han instead of coming up with some sort of original origin that didn't have to involve any of those things. This movie is fan service. This movie is 110% fan service.
And it is 110% entertaining.
I'm
It
not
is
disagreeing
entertaining. That's
that it's
one of the
not
things that I enjoyed
entertaining.
about it.
So, but
And it looks good. It still looks good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it did
it's
still look
beautiful.
good. But he doesn't. There's no stories. There's no story. There's nothing in between. Like, I would have much rather preferred like a completely original story for Han's origin than for them to take everything we already know about Han
If it
and
was
wrap it up in a package.
if it was a different heist, like if it was a heist that didn't have anything to do with the Kessel Run, and then he gets the Kessel Run job at the end,
that would
have been
fucking.
That would have been
awesome.
better than him going to work for Jabba at the
Okay,
end.
they had to do the Kessel Run in this movie.
Okay, why?
They had to, because it's been such an argument among Star Wars fans because parsecs are a measure of distance, not time. Although space and time are very connected.
Yeah.
So
Right.
they had to show how Han did the Kessel Run in less than 12
he took
parsecs.
a shortcut.
Well, okay,
Less-
that's really underselling it.
Less than 13.
Hey, guess what? In
less
Blade
than
Runner,
13.
fucking Han Solo kills a bunch of robots.
I mean,
like,
that's accurate.
We can dumb down and take out the gravitas of any fucking story if you want.
So the
Well, I'm
issue,
not trying to take out. I'm just saying that's what happened. He took a shortcut. I'm not trying to make that sound like terrible. He took a shortcut that was very fucking dangerous, and no one else had ever done it or ever will do it again.
And he fought Cthulhu.
No, it was Emrakul,
Yeah.
Daeon's Torn, and I want to know why Wizards hasn't sued the mouse.
Because they can't.
Because they can't, probably.
if they had a different story for Han Solo, I don't think it would have gone a whole lot different because I didn't really see any character progression at all. I mean, in the beginning, it shows that he's like the very opening scene is him stealing a vial of coaxium as well as a speeder. I don't remember exactly what the name was.
Yeah, whatever. It doesn't matter.
But he's very like Han Solo. Like,
Yeah.
I did this thing. I need an idea now because
Right.
I don't plan ahead. I need this now.
Yeah,
I need this
he's
now.
already a
He-
badass at the beginning of the movie.
The
Yes.
character progression was that he failed in that first part of the movie, and then later he doesn't fail. That was the entirety of the character progression and character growth in the movie,
So that's
which is like impressive because he's doing ridiculous shit the whole time.
And he comes to accept who he really is as a person. He, in the beginning of the movie, through the first 3/4 of the movie, he's like, no, I'm not what you say I am. I'm this guy. And then he
Yeah.
realizes, no, I am the hero.
Well,
Like,
yeah,
I am the good guy.
but that's interesting too because like that's the same character arc that he has in the original trilogy because that's what he does all through A New Hope and a little bit in Empire. I mean, he's fully accepted it by the time we get to Return, but like then he becomes uninteresting.
I disagree with that.
Well, I mean, that's not what we're here to argue about,
All
but
right.
that's my opinion that he
We can get
becomes
that on
disinteresting
the
in Return.
Doug special.
Yeah, we'll talk about everything Star Wars at some point.
My
Do even more episodes about this.
and not everything that Han Solo does is in this movie. But it is the story of what makes Han Solo, so they have to show you those things.
yeah, some
Okay.
guy telling him that his last name's Solo. That's what makes him.
So what else in
Solo.
4, 5, and 6 do they talk about as part of his legacy that isn't in this movie?
Oh, I don't know, the 5 bounty hunters in Empire that all have a personal vendetta against Han. Why Han and why Han has fallen out of grace with Jabba. Like, what job did he not do? Why was he coming back to Tatooine? Even though, like, we don't know anything about that. Like,
He
that's
owes Jabba money.
for what? Do we see that? Do we know what's
No,
going
I
on?
mean,
Or is the
that's-
sequel
yeah.
or is the sequel Solo movie, which is currently being like bandied about? Hopefully, we'll get in like 2023. Like, there's still the whole Hutt cartel wars that we don't know anything about. There's still the Boba Fett stuff that we don't know anything about. There's tons of things that we don't know about. But
So-
Han Solo is a bard. He's gonna tell his stories. Like, that's what Han is. He's not
Mhm.
a knight. He's not a Jedi. He's a bard.
Yeah.
Like, bards talk about the one cool thing they did for years and years and years and embellish it. That's what Han has done. That's also why Obi-Wan doesn't go to Han. That's why Obi-Wan goes to Chewie, because Chewie's the real, like, character. Like, he's the serious one.
Right.
I thought he was a smuggler.
He is a smuggler.
Well, that's a job. He's
Yeah.
talking about like ability and class and stuff.
He's a bard. He, like, talks a big game the whole time. And he's
Yeah.
constantly trying to seduce women. He's
Yeah. Well, eventually. But he spends this whole movie being head over heels in love with Daenerys, so
Daenerys.
uh,
Did he stutter?
Amelia Clarke,
who?
the girl in the movie.
Danny.
Oh, Sarah
I don't
Connor.
remember her name in the actual
Oh.
movie.
Kira.
Kira. And it's
Yeah,
like
Kira.
QI''RA or something like that.
Yeah. You gotta get that apostrophe in. It's science fiction.
Yeah, I mean, this,
So you just mentioned a ton of stuff that,
I would have rather this movie been about.
yeah, I mean, essentially, because like,
but all those happen after this stuff.
Yeah, I didn't need this story, I guess, is how I feel about it. I like I said, I was entertained by this movie. I just don't. It's not. The point isn't there other than the fan service.
Yeah, I mean, that's what this movie was about. Like, that's why they made it.
Yeah,
It's also how you make money.
I wish I hadn't gone seen it in the theater because they definitely got my money for that.
I mean,
I don't remember if I watched it in theaters.
like, everything, like, what I love about this is the same thing that I like about the prequels and the same thing you hate about the prequels. It's the things that I don't like about the new stuff.
Yeah,
That's what I love about Rogue One. They took the established canon of the film franchise and they showed us all of this stuff, all of these like side references that are made. And I think
Mhm.
we're all downplaying it because we've heard about the Kessel Run for 40 years. We've heard about, all of this stuff for so long that
Yeah.
to us it's these big mythic events. But how many times is the Kessel Run mentioned in the trilogy? Once? When he's selling himself?
Yeah.
I think
Well,
so.
I mean, it's not even him that says it, is it?
No, yeah, he says I made the Kessel Run in less than 12 parsecs, kid.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
When he's selling himself, when Luke is like, we're not gonna go with
Well,
this pilot.
Okay, so then it's in there one more time. No, maybe I'm thinking of The Force Awakens where she says this is the ship that made the Kessel Run.
Right.
Okay.
well, that's before this movie though. Force Awakens was before either of the side stories.
Well,
So
yeah,
that could still count.
I don't count the new trilogy though.
Well, you don't, but it's still part of it. Just like the stuff that you like isn't part of it anymore.
and that's why I don't like it.
What was the name of Han Solo's wife in the extended universe before it got decanonized?
Leia,
No, his other wife. His first wife.
Kira.
Is it?
Yep.
So that's who this is supposed to be?
Yep.
Okay.
That's why I like it, because it builds on everything. I mean,
Well, they don't end up together though.
they didn't end up together in the books.
But I thought they were married and had kids in the books.
No.
Thought he had like a whole family, and
No.
then he was like, Leia.
No.
Okay.
Like, she joins the Shadow Syndicate, which they renamed Crimson Dawn.
Yeah.
But I don't want to monopolize the conversation because I can
I-
literally go on for 6 hours.
Okay.
I think the Crimson Dawn is a pretty interesting topic. I noticed while watching, not necessarily just the Crimson Dawn, but Drayden, the guy of the main villain.
Yeah.
In a couple of the scenes, I noticed he had Mandalorian armor in the background.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to know about his past. I don't know if he could have technically been a Mandalorian, and he never took off his armor until he found the
Crimson Dawn.
Crimson Dawn. Thank you. And then he took off his helmet. But this
Or-
is the way, so he can't put it back on.
Or if he killed one and is taking it as a trophy.
He's
See-
a treasure hunter. He's also got the relics from all 3 Indiana Jones movies in his office.
I didn't notice that.
Yeah.
So with that, Mandalorians are particularly hard to kill, and he's obviously very skilled with a blade.
Yeah.
When he's fighting Han on the main part of his ship. So I was just like thinking here that he
Yeah.
could have been a Mandalorian because he has obviously got a lot of talent for fighting. And it would also kind of explain his way of his authority within Crimson Dawn. So like he was just a Mandalorian up for hire by Crimson Dawn, and then they're like, wow, you're real good. Why don't you just lead this faction of all these other people doing jobs for us?
Yeah. Why don't you be middle management instead
So-
of a hire on?
Exactly. And that would be
Huh.
maybe enough to persuade him to take off his armor, retire it, and never put it back on because Mandalorians can't do that.
Right.
So he's still following his way, but the bad side of the Mandalorian way.
Yeah.
He's actually in charge of the whole Crimson Dawn. Crimson Dawn is just, I can't remember the name. It ties in with the Clone Wars cartoons because you see the Darth Maul thing at the end.
Yeah.
Like it's an offshoot of the
The syndicates.
yeah. I don't remember what is the syndicate's name.
They just kept calling them the syndicates.
They have like a specific name. I can't remember what it is. And the fighting style that both he and Kira use is specifically trained to is a style specifically trained to fight Force users.
Yeah. They talk about what the style's called, but they don't explain it because it's, a lot of the stuff that there's a lot of stuff in a lot of these movies where unless you watch the other media or like read about it, you don't know what the fuck they're talking about, but you're just expected to swallow it, which I'm usually okay with. Like this wasn't one of those things where I was like, well, what the fuck are they talking about? I was fine with it, but you wouldn't know that from the movie that it was supposed to be a style used against Force users.
And I like that though. I like the fact that it ties in and it backfeeds through the other media.
Yeah.
giving
No, I
them
like that
validity.
too. But you can still like watch it and like understand it and enjoy it. That's something that people are bitching about right now because they're teasing that WandaVision and another one of the shows that are going to be on Disney Plus are going to Loki are going to feed into the new Doctor Strange movie, Multiverse of Madness.
Yep.
And people are like, I don't want to fucking have to watch 2 seasons of 2 different shows to understand this movie. Well, I mean, you've been doing it for however fucking long with Star Wars and other shit.
The MCU. I
Yeah,
mean,
and the MCU.
watch
you have to watch
Endgame without watching the other 20
You're
movies.
like, who the fuck are these people? Or if you haven't read a comic book, but that means you have to have consumed some other media to understand who these characters are. So like, it's a dumb argument, but like, his theory could or could not work based on what you know from other media and like reading about the shit. So it's like it's just interesting.
I like the idea. So I mostly like Dryden Voss as a character. When I found out Paul Bettany was going to be in it, I was super excited because I just love almost everything that he does. But there's just something about, I don't know if it's his consistent change in demeanor, which I understand that's how the character is supposed to be, because one minute he's hot, one minute he's cold. But
He's got
it like throws me off.
Yeah, he's a very odd character because he has like some weird physical and mental qualities that he kind of reminds me a little bit of Dennis Hopper's character in Blue Velvet. You know what I'm talking about? Cuz he's like very angry and has like a lot of physicality, but he like physically can't do it. So like he has this crazy fighting style that he uses, right? But whenever he does anything, whenever he gets like upset and kills somebody, he like can't breathe afterwards. Right? So and like he's like way up and down in his demeanor.
Yeah.
Like he gets angry at the flip of a switch, and then as soon as whatever is taken care of, whether he's killed the person that he was talking to and he was pissed off at, or if the situation is resolved and they've come to an agreement and they can move on, he's all of a sudden cordial and nice and like, all right, well, next time, don't be shy, come back. And it's very similar to that character in Blue Velvet. You know what I'm talking about, Doug?
No, I completely agree. It was a fantastic point, and
Okay.
I never made the connection until just now. But
Yeah.
yeah,
It's like that character just in Star Wars.
I could totally even see Paul Bettany like reading the script and being like, I'm gonna play this like Dennis Hopper.
Yeah. No,
Except
I mean, it's
British.
just like that. It just doesn't have a fucking oxygen mask.
Yeah. But yeah, so he just, I don't know, it was kind of weird. He like, I don't know, he just like throws me off in this movie kind of.
Dennis Hopper was real weird in Blue Velvet too. So.
Yeah. I've
mean,
not
similar-
seen, I don't think
similar
I've seen Blue
characters.
Velvet at all. So, but as far as that goes, I mean, if that's what he was trying to do, good fucking job,
Yeah,
man.
I just like a weird bad guy in like charge of other bad guys.
Yeah.
It's got like a weird tick, a couple weird ticks.
Yeah. And then I really like Emilia Clarke in this. I think she does a pretty good job throughout most of it. There's a couple particular parts where she's a little dry, and it's mostly when she's interacting with Paul Bettany.
Yeah.
Like, those parts were,
I feel like that
weird.
was purposeful though.
yeah, it could have been. I just furthermoring his character like kept throwing me off.
Yeah. Like how other characters were interacting with him was like, because I mean, like when you're in the presence of someone like that, where they can change on the flip of a switch, and like they're physically imposing against
Yeah.
you, then like you kind of end up
Yeah,
in
'cause-
that where you don't have a personality around them, so that you don't antagonize them. You
Yeah.
don't make them flip that switch. You just always
Right.
agree. You always keep your voice even keel. You don't bring up anything that could upset them. You just like you drift, and then
Yeah.
when they're gone, then you change your demeanor, unless you're completely lost in it. But
Yeah,
that's a thing.
And that is a thing, and I mean it's probably how it was supposed to come off, I guess. And Paul Bettany's like 6'3", I think. Like, so
I don't know.
he's like, I mean, he's like pretty
Tall, lanky,
tall,
Brit.
lanky dude.
Paul Bettany, if you're listening, email us at draftyq@gmail.com and tell us how tall you are.
Yeah,
I first fell in love with you watching A Knight's Tale.
and
Thank you.
also tell us if you
Or are you talking about Paul?
Yeah.
Oh,
Bettany.
sorry.
Paul Bettany. Also tell us if you derived inspiration for Dryden Voss from Dennis Hopper's character in Blue Velvet.
Yeah.
I would love to be right about that.
He's gonna listen to this and be like, someone fucking got it.
I would
Except
be
the
so
British.
impressed.
So, and then Woody Harrelson, fantastic. I took us back to the cast, by the way, if no one realized what was happening.
Yep.
Woody Harrelson, I thought was just absolutely fantastic, but I mean, he always is, right? Like,
Fellow alumnus
It's
from
just-
Hanover.
yeah. So I liked. I thought he did a great job, and then, I mean, Chewbacca. So bringing us to, which is Alden. What's his first name?
Aiden.
Aiden.
It's totally Alden.
Aiden.
whatever. Heidenreich or whatever the fuck his last name is.
Yeah.
Send us a video, draftyq@gmail.com, of you saying your name.
Actually, Peter Serafinowicz, if you could say his name.
Oh, please. Peter Serafinowicz, please send us a video of you saying everyone's name that we have fucked up in every podcast ever. If you need a Dropbox, go ahead, make a Dropbox and send us a link, and we'll put it in one of the shows. We'll just make a show of you saying everyone else's name.
Yes, I like it. Oh, I guess before we get to him, Donald Glover as young Lando Calrissian.
Okay.
Best.
Yeah.
Right? Like.
I mean, I love Donald Glover anyway, but like, holy shit.
Donald?
What?
Donald?
Donald? I know. I don't know why I said it. I just glossed over it.
It's his dad.
Donald Glover is his dad.
I fucking love him as young Lando. Like it's so good. He just does a fantastic job. I mean, I really feel like he's so aside from young Han, so taking him out of the equation, I feel like Donald did two things. He portrayed a younger version of a character while also portraying how that actor would have played that character when he was a younger version.
Yeah, there was like layers of that. It was weird.
Yeah, it was.
I loved it, but
it was probably the best I've seen that done. The other time I've seen it done was Joseph Gordon-Levitt did a really good job impersonating a young Bruce Willis in Looper, which is like the best thing about that movie is him being young Bruce Willis. But anyway.
Wasn't that also a Rian Johnson movie?
Yes.
Yes, it was.
Anyway.
So that was my favorite instance of this happening, and then Donald Glover showed up and like takes that mantle.
Yeah.
Just because it's fucking great. It's spot on.
That's an example of the character earning the relic that they have later, is him figuring out that Lando cheated and beating him in the card game and getting the Millennium Falcon.
Yeah, it's something Han did.
Yeah, whereas all the other stuff was something someone else did.
Nope.
Yep.
I thought it was really cool in the movie that they showed us why Lando has such a strong connection to the Millennium Falcon.
Yeah.
And after watching it the second time, so they download L3 into the ship.
Yes.
Well, earlier in the movie, L3 was talking about how she knew that
Lando was in love with her.
Yes, because she said that, and then she pointed out that she had proof that Han was in love with Kira, which leads you to believe that she also would have had proof that Lando was in love with her.
Right.
Yeah.
Which I thought was like super interesting, and her death scene and all that, and Lando was like actually crying and everything.
Yeah.
So like it was a really good like I don't know.
I love everything that you just said, but the only part that I did not like that involved Donald Glover is L3's death scene. I fucking hated every minute of that whole fucking scene. He wasn't believable. And then on top of that, like I disliked the whole idea of the scene. Like, ugh.
So the thing I didn't like was just like L3 they made her so human-like.
It
threw me off so hard. That's one thing I really
character.
didn't like. I'm not gonna lie, that's probably my least favorite character. But just the way I think Donald Glover did a really good job of just like portraying that emotion. Like he was on his knees pulling her. She fell in half and he collapsed.
How did you not laugh though? Like how did it not feel like a big joke to you?
Because we're invested in these characters.
Yeah, like we know Lando.
Sociopath.
I didn't hate that scene.
Lando loves the ship, and he makes it so obvious in all the other Star Wars movies because he's been trying to get it back from Han forever.
Yeah.
what? It's a ship, and the dude's wealthy. He can go buy another one, but
Yeah.
this one is so special
No.
to him. So it hit me hard.
I like all of that. I do like that. The scene in particular, the way the scene was pulled off, him pulling her in half, like it. I didn't think he did a good job portraying that emotion. Like I said, I didn't believe him. He didn't. I don't know. It didn't feel right. And it might have just been the way the scene was set up. It might not necessarily had to do with Donald Glover, but like that whole scene just felt like a joke. Like, this guy's in love with a robot. And then like move on.
I
And
don't
was
think
like,
anybody but
what
you
the
took
fuck
that
just
away from
happened?
that scene.
Yeah.
Maybe.
It
Maybe.
was just you.
I
Yeah.
also don't like that character. Literally, my only note about her is, why is this droid so horny?
Okay, I can answer all of these questions.
Yes.
Fucking fix
The
it for me.
actress, the Phoebe Weller.
I didn't. Phoebe something.
Yeah, she's a British person of British descent.
Mhm.
Okay.
She auditioned for the part. She had never seen Star Wars or any of the media. She had no idea what a
This is already
droid
good.
what a droid was. So she went in playing it like it was a alien species
Yeah,
with
right.
emotion and character. And then they were like, do you not know what we're doing? So they told her that a droid was a robot, and she was like, oh, I can do it differently. But the original writers that got fired before Ron were like, no, we love it. So they rewrote the entire character
Oh, jeez.
based on her performance, which is cool and leads a lot to like the R2 stuff. Because, I mean, obviously you can't hear what R2's saying.
Yeah, but he's very human.
And he's like very much for the liberation of droids and stuff
Right.
like you can tell in all of his actions. Like, and she's doing the same thing. And Andrew is completely right about the relationship between
Yeah,
L3, which by the way, her name is L3E7, which is like Leet
Mm-hmm.
in Leet speak, which I was just like, fuck yes. There's just so many little like one-liners and bits in this. I was tickled. But he's clearly in love with L3.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
that is established.
Yeah.
And the fact that you're like
Laughing.
racist, I guess.
He's laughing at
Yeah, you're
at-
like, oh, this main character's dying. Look at him feeling
I-
bad for her.
Didn't laugh at it.
You
I mean,
said you laughed at
I
it.
said, how can you not laugh at it? So
So how did you not laugh at it?
I mean, okay, like I don't mean it like
I feel like for
I
you,
don't
it was probably a
mean-
big part of just not liking the character in general, because I can see that making it be kind of hard to actually care. But
I didn't laugh because she was dying. I laughed because the scene was done so
Ridiculous.
badly,
Yeah.
and the scene was so over the top.
I get that. I
Like-
don't know. I didn't
But
feel
it's
that
like,
way.
yeah, it's.
I had no feeling toward this scene. Like it did not evoke any emotional loss for this character from me. I was
See,
just
I
it felt like a big joke. Like
to me, that is where Han starts viewing Lando as more than just a shyster. And it
Yeah.
sets up their eventual friendship. It gives Lando a lot of character depth by like risking his own life, and he gets shot. Like,
I'm not talking about the story part of the scene.
and
I don't mean that. I mean the way the
How
scene
it's
itself
shot.
is shot and done
How it's shot and how it's acted.
and how it's acted. Yeah, like not like it being there is fine. It being in the script is
It's
fine.
like-
It's a great scene in theory. I don't feel like it was pulled off right.
it is straight it was completely lifted out of Apocalypse Now. Too.
Yeah.
Like,
But it's a droid. So like it's a joke.
no,
Yes.
she's a character. It's showing that droids are more than just jokes. You
Right.
just don't view them with the same level as, I guess, a living, breathing, whatever. Like, what, I don't know. Like, do you feel that way? Like, when an alien,
Are you asking if I connect with non-human characters?
Yeah. Or what you consider
of them.
subhuman.
Well,
Look, I'm not holophobic, okay? Let's go ahead and put that out there. I did enjoy Blade Runner 2049. So
oh my
it's
god.
not that I didn't have so I love R2, and like when R2's in actual danger, I'm like, "Oh no, not R2." Like I was upset about the Mars rover that fucking died because of its last words.
What
So
the
like
fuck?
it's not that. Like that evoked, like, it was a meme, little sad robot on Mars all by itself, and it said, "My battery is low and it's getting dark."
Yeah.
Like fuck. Like that, I was like, "Oh my god." But this scene, no. Like nothing. The scene pulled nothing out of me as far as emotion goes. And it's not because of the idea of the scene, because it's a good idea. But yes, like you said, it is a very hard rip on Apocalypse Now. Like it is literally shot for shot that scene where I think it's Willem Dafoe is trying to pull his friend and his friend falls apart. But that's why it feels like a joke, because it was unoriginal. My biggest complaint about this entire movie is the unoriginality of it.
I mean, I'll
And-
give you that, because like Butch Cassidy, the Sundance Kid, was basically the entire first part of that heist.
Yeah. Which I don't understand, because I love Ron Howard. Like he's done a lot of movies that I really enjoy, especially his kind of like biopics or the stuff that's like based on actual
and
events.
we can consider this a biopic.
Sci-fi, action, adventure, heist movie, western, biopic.
Mhm.
Okay.
And I mean, how else would you describe Han Solo?
You
Yeah.
can probably drop the biopic part.
No. Biopic.
But I don't know. Anyway,
Biopic.
we can move on. That's how I feel about the scene. I just don't. Could have been
So-
done better.
Basically, Russell's saying he's a sociopath.
If I would have changed anything, I wouldn't have let L3 like live so long. I would have just like had her die on the field when he ripped her in half. Like I feel like that would have been like super traumatic for him.
Yeah. So he gets to her, like the trying to had Han. So like if he would have like popped out her core or her memory card or whatever the fuck it is, like, and like taken that instead of like trying to pull her apart and like been sad about popping that out, like
Brain.
Yeah, dude, you're like not helping this sociopath thing.
Oh.
You just like harvested her for the organs that you could have used.
Has she got any good O-rings in there? We could put
Scrap
this
parts.
on some shit. We're still talking about this part, huh?
Oh my gosh.
There were ways to fix it, and I don't know. Like I agree with that. Like had she already been dead, like had she not had her last few words or
Yeah.
whatever through the weird speech, like there were a lot of ways to fix this scene, and instead he went with the Apocalypse Now. And I get it, trying to evoke some sort of emotion similar to what
I mean, it worked for me
you felt in Apocalypse
and everyone
Now.
else at this table.
I didn't say that I was like. I didn't dislike the scene or think it was a joke, but I wasn't like crying or anything.
Well, I mean,
I
was-
also am really hard on death scenes in general, because like they're some of the hardest scenes to pull off.
Well,
in
they could do
cinema.
whatever they want because it was fucking CG. So
Yeah.
No, she was actually there. It was like a Andy Serkis type of thing. They put a fake L3 head on her and had her wear a green, like a Green Man suit.
that's how you CG over a person.
Yeah, but I mean, she was like,
Like, yeah, she was acting there, but I mean, like, when they did the death scene, they could do whatever they wanted because it was CG.
okay, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not saying like that there wasn't a person acting, because like she was still like saying the lines and she was present.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I can probably keep bitching about this scene forever, so we should
let's
go
move
to
on
something
to
else.
something else. Jesus. Okay, so I have a question about when they're in the mall, right?
Yeah.
And they have to time their jump perfectly,
Right.
and they time it, and then it fails, and then it works. How's that perfect?
Well, it wasn't perfect. That's why Han had to do the maneuver.
Oh, because it was closing, so then he had to...
Yeah. What do you mean they said that in the...
Well, yeah, but I mean, like, the reason that it had to be perfect was so that it was lined up, not so that they got out in time, because, like, the way it was working, it was like they were circling a drain, right? And they had to go out through the fucking, the dick space on the toilet. So... on the toilet seat. So when they were aimed at it, they put the drop in, and then it didn't work. So if they're still circling the drain, then they would have hit the side of the bowl and died.
I think it's more like
another thing to add on to that is while they're getting flushed, their boosters kick in for a second,
Yeah.
and then they turn off, and they do a full somersault,
Yeah.
which would lead them pointing in some
wherever
random
the
direction.
fuck. Yeah.
So I
exactly.
did have issues with that scene.
Yeah.
but
That was the biggest like plot hole kind of thing in the movie.
okay.
But other than that, I think
So
most of the
it's
stuff was
it's
cohesive.
not so much that it's the dick space of the toilet.
Toilet seat. Yeah.
It's two sort of rings going around, and this is the space that they're open. And if we shoot here, then they're both open.
Okay.
They missed, and they're moving, so the hole is closing.
So it's more like the quarter machine.
Yes. And he threaded the
So
needle.
if you go to drop your quarter and then you catch it at the last second and then drop it, it definitely is not going where you want it in the quarter machine.
Right. But
so they should have just like not gone through the
But
slot.
unlike a quarter, this is a spaceship that can be steered. Which is what he does when he goes like...
Yeah,
Which is why he's the
which-
greatest pilot in the galaxy.
So why did
12
they?
parsecs, bitch.
So why did they need to point it in the right direction if he could just steer it while it was under this immense power of dropping some of the fuel directly onto
They didn't
the
think
core?
he could. No one but Han thought he could.
I still think it's a plot hole.
I mean, yeah, it's a
I'm
literal
not accept-
hole.
I'm not
that was
accepting-
closing.
I'm not
In the-
accepting your explanation.
I also thought it was stupid
a
that the
crap.
thrusters went out just to build drama.
Yeah.
Like,
But that's what the Falcon does. That
Oh, the Falcon does that. I don't have necessarily a problem with that so much as I do
That
the fact
happened
that
in
they
the
just
trilogy.
like were like, oh, we missed our slot. Oh, nope, we're good.
Yeah.
so what you're saying is calculations were wrong in the first place, and the Falcon did that so that calculations were right.
L3.
L3.
the Falcon.
L3 was just
Yeah.
being an asshole to Han.
Because if anyone knows how to get it in the hole, it sounds like L3 does.
I mean, that was
Well,
established earlier in the movie. Like,
yeah,
it's called good
No, I'm on
storytelling.
with you. I'm on with you
It
now.
was when Kira asked her, well, I mean, how would that work? Trust me, it works.
Yeah. And he said the opposite of every line that's in every Star Wars movie right before
I
they
have
do
a
something.
really good feeling about this.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
that was great.
I enjoyed that part.
I mean, should we start talking about things that we liked about the movie?
I mean, I'm been hard to find something I didn't like about the movie.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us, and I'll see you guys later.
Ah!
I'm just kidding.
Got him. Oh, was there anything that you liked about this movie?
So I started to talk about Aiden Alden.
Let's call him Tim.
Han.
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 So
Nope.
I like this guy playing young Han Solo.
Yes.
I didn't the first time I watched it. I like it this time. But
'Cause
he
he's-
does I do not
He's not
think,
Harrison Ford.
Yeah, I don't think he does for the role what Lando or what Donald does for Lando. Like, he's not a young Harrison Ford. He is a young Han Solo, and I'm willing to accept that because Harrison Ford cannot play a young Han Solo. And I don't know that they could have cast anyone better. I'm sure as fuck glad they didn't cast Chris Pratt like half of the fucking internet wanted.
Well, Charlie Cox was the front runner, but because of his Daredevil stuff, he had trouble making eye
See-
contact with people. No, that's a real thing. Like, that's why they didn't go with Charlie
fucking
Cox.
hilarious.
He has ruined his career.
Yeah, just because he's
He's-
like, I'm
he's
so
gonna-
used
he's
to just
gonna
like
come back
looking
anyway.
off into fucking space while I'm talking.
Yeah.
So I can't break the fucking habit God,
That's a
Um,
genuine fact.
I don't
No,
know
I mean,
how I
that's
would have felt
fucked
about
up.
that. I super love him as Matt Murdock. I don't know that I would have. I did. For a while, they were saying Miles Teller was gonna play the role, or he was like rumored for the role, and I was actually really excited to see that happen because I sort of thought that Miles Teller might be able to do a young Harrison Ford.
I don't know.
The Han Lando comparison. You're a big Doctor Who guy.
Yeah.
As am I. So I view Tim playing young Han as sort of like a Doctor's regeneration, where it's the same
Character,
but it's different. Whereas Donald Glover,
So is he Danny's son or something?
no, that's racist.
No,
They have
yes.
the same last name.
he is.
No, he's not.
Yes, he is.
No, he is not.
Yes, he is.
No, he is not.
Danny and Donnie.
But he is playing like a master-like character, where the master, like, it's always the same.
Same guy, yeah.
So that's how I viewed it. Although I like, and that's the reason I keep saying Han, is because that's what Billy D. Williams called him.
Yeah, no, I know. That was fantastic.
Yeah,
He's like, no, it's Han. Okay, Han. Like, you fucking prick.
I love it.
All right, what's the internet say?
That Doug is right. Like the
I
internet
mean,
always
probably.
says.
Fuck you, Doug. He is, despite rumors, not related to Danny Glover.
That's why
I swear to God,
are
there's a
Courtney
joke in an
Cox and
interview.
Charlie Cox like brother and sister?
Who?
Courtney and Charlie?
I don't know. Let's find out.
No, they're not.
Have you looked it up?
I don't need to look it up. One is from Britain, one is from Georgia.
Awesome.
I swear there was a joke in an interview about him being, which now that I think about it, very well could have just been a fucking joke because
Yeah.
Donald's hysterical.
All right, go ahead.
Some of my favorite parts of the movie are actually just like lighting effects. I think the beginning of the movie is really dark when he's going to
Yeah,
talk to this
Tone.
Yeah.
snake lady.
Mm-hmm.
It's like super dark. We were actually adjusting the TV screen to like because we thought it was too dark.
Yeah.
And I think they do a really good job of that. Like you get that really like windy snowing effect when they're on the train, and that like really hot feeling at when they're dropping off the coaxium to be refined. I think they did a really good job with just
Setting.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's like a thing that they try to be really good at in a lot of Star Wars movies, and most of them they succeed at.
Yeah.
I mean, some of the prequel stuff and some of the stuff they edited into the original trilogy to try and amp that up was pretty terrible, but on especially the new movies and the original versions of the original trilogy, they were really good at it naturally.
Some of the jokes in this, like not jokes, but just one-liners that got me really, really good were when they did throw him in the cage with Chewie, the stormtroopers were like, "Oh, the fun's just beginning. Don't kill him too quickly." Like, I thought that was great. Another part is towards the end there, Han and Lando are just looking at the ship, and it's like falling apart, basically. And Lando's like, "I hate you."
Yeah.
And Han slips in a, I know.
I know. Yeah,
great.
That was really
Yep.
good. A lot of I like some of the callbacks are pretty good, like especially like the little one-liners.
Doug, speaking of one-liners, I think it comes up again in this movie, and it's in a lot of the other movies. The side talk from stormtroopers, where they're talking about equipment. Do you know what that's all about? It's in like, it seems to be in like every movie, and I just now started to notice it.
I mean, I think it's just they want it to feel real. Like,
Well, they're talking about the same shit in every movie. I feel
Well,
like
I
they're
know that-
talking like about a line of equipment, and like if you put together the conversations, I feel like you would get a history of some piece of equipment in the Star Wars universe, but I don't know what it is.
I don't know. That would be kind of cool.
That is something we should have done.
Yeah, because it's like every time they're like, "Hey, have you seen the new AT whatevers?" Oh yeah, I've heard they were going to phase out the old ones, and like that conversation continues in every movie because like that's in that particular piece of dialogue is in Rogue One. There's another piece of the dialogue in this one. I noticed it in there's side dialogue about it in Force Awakens when they're escaping when Finn is getting Poe out, and I know there's some in Return. I think there's some in Empire and A New Hope about it as well.
I don't know. I know that they do a lot of, like, there is a lot of, like, and that's another thing I liked about it is they go in and they talk about the models and the types of ships and the types of guns and like, and it, like, they've done a really good job of like setting it because like all of the stuff that they talk about,
It's all world building stuff.
yeah, and it fits in perfectly and it shows you where it is in the timeline without like beating it over your head.
Yeah, that was something I like. One of the things that I really like about the new trilogy is that they are using a lot of the stuff from the original trilogy because it's closer related than it is to the prequels as far as the timeline and stuff.
Yeah.
So everything looks like the stuff in the original trilogy.
And, like,
because that's the most current technology versus like all this sleek shit that was in the prequels.
and I mean that's also like kind of how history works too. Like there are more advancements during times of war. Like technology makes huge leaps when there's major conflicts.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like everything is very sleek and polished especially in episode 1. Because they've had, like basically 1,000 years of peace or whatever. So everything is designed to look pretty.
Right.
And then as it goes on, we get embroiled in this galactic conflict where functionality beats form. So it doesn't
Form
look
over
as sleek.
Function over form.
It doesn't look as sleek, but it's far more deadly. And then the conflict keeps going. And then even after 6, going into 7, there's not that long.
Right.
Was like 17 years.
Wait, between what movies?
6 and 7.
There's more
25
than that.
years.
Is
Yeah,
it
'cause-
25?
Yeah, because Ben's a full adult.
Yeah, that's true. But in that 25 years, there's still like the war's not over.
Yeah. Right, and like the resistance is using old rebellion ships, and like the First Order has like top of the line Empire ships and like new stuff that they've built.
Yeah, in secret, which I also liked in this movie. They mentioned Scarif,
Yeah.
which I thought was cool, and I guess Jyn Erso was supposed to make a cameo as like a child, but they cut that scene.
Huh.
Which I guess she's Carillion too, which I didn't know. I guess I missed that in Rogue One.
I don't know that they ever said that because like.
Oh, 30 years.
Yeah, I guess it could have been a few years before they had a kid.
Yeah.
But because like she was born part of the Empire or the Republic, and then her dad left, and they grew up on that planet, and then I guess after Forrest Whitaker's character, I can never remember his fucking name, like drops her or abandons her or whatever, she could have gone to Corellia. I don't know.
I think
because she goes from like meeting up with him to being in prison,
right
on like a ship, or she's on a planet, but she's in,
and
like,
I
a
guess that's
transport.
supposed to be Corellia, like because that scene is supposed to tie in with the scene where Han is escaping.
Okay, I mean I don't see it, but okay.
Well, I was looking up deleted scenes and stuff like that.
It doesn't look the same. It looks like war torn kind of,
Right?
instead of like kind of like a weird dystopian metropolis.
Yeah.
which is kind of how they made Grillia look. Andrew, you got any more points?
My favorite part of the movie would just be the depth of all the characters. Like, there's so much. I feel like there's so much story behind all the characters. I just
Mhm.
want to get to know them better. Like Kira, how did she get into her position
Yeah.
of power? The whole Darth Maul thing. Like, I know they touch up in it in the Clone Wars or whatever.
Yeah. Good.
I just want to say we looked up the time. It's been about 20 years since his legs got cut off. And like he's had 20 years to go from half of a body to having robo legs and like an empire under him. Like
So, where are his? Why doesn't he have robo legs in this movie?
he does have robo
He
legs.
does.
Oh, I thought he had like a spider. I thought he had spider legs in Clone Wars.
He does, but in the movie, I watched it a second time. I actually just noticed this. It shows like a side shot of him in a hologram, and you kind of see his robes kind of off of his leg a little bit, and it's like robotic.
Yeah,
So
you
they're-
can see
they're
just
pretty
like
cool.
regular.
So he just
robot
traded
legs.
out the spider legs for regular.
Well, those are
robot
like
legs.
battle armor things.
I also feel like he should be like his like only focus in life now should really be like destroying shit, because like he can't put his dick in anything anymore.
Okay, first off, he's a Sith, so they don't put their dick in stuff anyway. Secondly,
Don't take like an oath of celibacy.
Yeah, but that's an emotion. They use it for fuel. If you remember,
it's like Jainists. They don't do that to become better fighters. It's a real world allegory. Now, Darth Maul, if you read the extended universe stuff, which I guess doesn't matter anymore, he was already a crime boss. Like, he was Palpatine's apprentice, but he was already a Sith, like basically a Sith Lord. He was running his own criminal empire, and Palpatine was like, "Hey, I need you to do a job." So he's already has the empire, and they are the ones that come to Naboo and get him and save him. So he wasn't just like some dude that he kept in a box.
Yeah.
Darth Maul the Gimp.
I mean, I want more Darth Maul. Like, I would like
Watch
more
Clone
live
Wars.
action. I would like more good and live action.
Watch the first X-Men movie and just picture the face paint is different.
Does anyone know how old the actor is? Because it's Ray Park. He's
Yeah,
the same
he's-
actor from Episode 1.
Yeah,
40s,
and he's also Toad,
Toad.
in X-Men, and he plays Snake Eyes in the G.I. Joe movies.
I mean, he's like basically a stuntman. He's like in a lot of stuff. He does a lot of choreography.
Yeah, he's Andy Serkis.
I was actually super happy he had lines in this.
No, he's
Just
not
like-
Andy Serkis. He's Ray Park.
Yeah, but he's like Andy Serkis. Got started as like mocap and
Became
stunt
an
stuff,
actor.
and became an actor. And now like Andy Serkis is like directing and writing and shit.
I think Ray Park is too.
Is he?
Yeah, I know
haven't
he
heard
had.
anything
I know
about
he
it.
did all the choreography on the Iron Fist series.
I don't
Season
like him
2.
as much now.
Season 2.
Oh, okay.
Season 2.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's better.
Okay, sorry. The second Iron Fist series.
Yeah.
I love this guy. All right, let's not
No, I do-
detriment him by. And he is 45 years old.
So I forget what they're called. The Darth Maul's people.
Sebaceans.
Is that it?
I'm
Okay.
sure.
So they're supposed to be able to live till they're about 100 or 50 or so. So I'm wondering if they might end up just bringing him up in this new movie, even if it's just like a short, or if it's like a, hey, he's back and he wants Obi-Wan's head and he can't have it because Obi-Wan's already dead.
Go ahead, Doug.
I think he's the shadow bad guy in the Mandalorian.
The what?
Okay.
I mean, should we?
I mean, I'm okay with that.
Do we want to spoil it? Okay, there's like an underlying bad guy.
Yeah, the client,
Yeah.
the actual client, not
Yeah.
Max Van Sydow's character.
Yeah.
because he's working for somebody else.
Yeah.
Right.
So you think that's him?
And we're
That's awesome.
We
That
have
would be
to, we're
badass.
supposed to know who it is too, because the tagline for episode 9, the last episode.
Was it 9? Thought it was 8.
Was it 8?
Thought
I
it was
don't know.
7.
I thought
I
it was
don't
10.
Remember how many
so-
episodes there are. But the tagline
think
for
it's
the
8 or
last
9.
episode is like, it says something about a
Force from the
Uh,
past.
yeah, well, an unsuspected villain or rival or foe
awesome.
arrives or something like that. So
I
it has
saw
to
a
be
lot of
someone
people
that we
saying
know.
it was fucking Boba Fett.
See, that's kind of what I thought. That's what I was thinking. The direction they were gonna go is we were gonna get an actual ending to Boba Fett, and what better?
We have an actual ending to Boba Fett.
Yeah.
Well,
He
If
gets-
nothing else matters outside of the movies, we have an ending to Boba
Yeah.
Fett.
yeah,
Sarlacc.
yeah.
I mean, he went in. I don't think he crawled out. It's got that retractable beak now.
Oh yeah, that's
It
true.
chewed him
that's
up.
what. That's why they CGI'd that in,
Ugh.
because to make sure that he couldn't get out.
Oh, that's exactly the noise I made every time they showed the fucking Sarlacc pit in the new version
It's
of
just like a really big antlion.
yeah. Ugh, God damn it. Blech. Anyway, you got any more, Andrew? I know you're looking at your book. Okay, let's get to ratings on this
Wait.
one.
Can I just say my favorite part? of this
Yeah,
movie?
go ahead, dude.
Han fucking shot first.
Yes. That is also
Oh,
so. That's probably
I forgot.
now thinking
I was
about
like,
it.
wait,
That's
which
actually
part?
probably my favorite part too.
Yeah, no, I love that.
Yeah, I and he fucking Woody Harrelson's
Got
reaction.
one more
too.
piece of advice for you.
Yep.
What's
Fuck
Woody
yeah.
Harrelson say to him when he's dying?
I would have done the same thing.
Yeah. Or
Which,
he's like, I
like,
would have killed you.
Establishing character moment.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was fantastic.
That's
I
good.
love that part. My rating just went up.
Keep it up, Doug.
Willow's also in this movie, which makes 9 Star Wars live action things that he has been a part of.
Yep.
Warwick Davis.
Awesome.
If
And
you count both
the original Leprechaun.
he counts. That's counting both the Ewok Adventure movies.
Oh, okay.
All right. So we're going to get to ratings. I'm going to go first. Andrew, I know you haven't been on one of these, but I think you've listened to a couple. We usually do out of 10. If you want to do it out of fucking giant
Jesse does
space
100.
octopi or whatever, you can do that. How many tentacles on the Emrakul
I
or whatever?
thought you were gonna say Octopussy.
No, what the fuck?
Welcome to the James Bonding podcast.
Yeah. Anyway,
I'm Sean Connery.
I'm gonna give this movie a 7.5. I don't like how they treated this character. For the most part, some of the parts are really good. The movie is entertaining as a whole. There's only one real plot hole, and Doug kind of bondoed over it for me. Sort of. It's probably gonna fall off when I think about it more.
I'll be here to spackle whatever you need, big guy.
Okay. But I mean, it's an okay movie. I don't love it. I don't hate it anymore. The first time I watched it, I feel like me and Russell were just like, we watched it together, and I feel like we were like, "Fuck this movie. This is gonna be stupid." And then we were like, "It's fucking stupid." So I gave it another chance by myself, and I feel like it was a lot better than I gave it credit for the first time. But it's still not great. So I'm gonna give it a 7.5. Russell, what'd you think?
I definitely think that we didn't help each other watching watching it the first time, so I agree with you there.
Yeah.
But this is actually my second favorite Star Wars movie. No, that's a joke.
Well, I'm just gonna fucking slap you. I know.
No, I liked it more this time than last time for sure. I still, and I can admit that most of my problem with this movie is that it's not what I wanted. It's not the story like I would have told had given the opportunity. Like it's not. It's just not for me. I don't fucking know. Like it just isn't a thing that I super enjoy. It's not my least favorite Star Wars movie. It's probably middle of the pack. And then I think I touched on all the things that I enjoyed or got excited when they were brought up. Oh, I love that she didn't end up with him at the end. That's actually, I love that she went to take over the Syndicate, the Crimson Dawn. Like, I love her story arc in this movie, I think, more than anyone else's in this movie. I think her arc in particular is my favorite, because if you look at it, and we kept seeing Han say, "Oh, I'm going to go back for her. I'm going to go back for her. I'm going to go back for her." But from her perspective, he never came back. She's not a damsel in distress. Like, she didn't hang out waiting for the fucking brave hero to come save her. And she, like, went and fucking made something of herself, good or bad. Like, she did something. She made something of herself. And I think she has the best arc of the story. She is really my favorite thing about it. So I don't know.
He asked me a question. I'm sorry. She was your favorite thing about the movie.
What do you
Yeah,
rate
she is
it?
not a damsel in distress. So she goes on. I don't know. I'm all fucked up now. I had a whole point I was going to get to.
She made something of herself.
She made something of herself.
She wasn't a damsel in distress.
She wasn't. Yeah. I don't know.
And you loved her character arc.
I loved her character arc.
10 out of 10.
Is it because you're a Game of Thrones fan?
I wouldn't call me a Game of Thrones fan. I watched all of it. Wouldn't call me a fan.
She did stuff without having to have dragons do it for her.
She was the dragon.
She
in
is
this one.
she is a stronger character in this movie than she plays a stronger character in this movie than she does in Game of Thrones. This is probably my favorite thing that I've seen her in.
Yeah, I feel
Don't
like they
even
ruined
fucking
Dany in
bring
Game
up.
of Thrones.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
You're gonna give it a number, or
Yeah, I'm gonna give it my number, which is fucking also a 7.5.
all right, Andrew, give us your rating. Hopefully, not as long-winded and confusing as Russell's.
So,
I got lost.
I'm just gonna go off of the parts that I really enjoyed. One of my favorite parts was Chewie body slamming the dude on his head.
Oh yeah,
That was amazing.
was brutal.
They talked about Wookiees ripping people in half, and they didn't need to show that. They just needed to show him pick up that one guy with one arm.
But they did, because it was like when they got in the elevator and he rips the dude's arms off and shows him to Han, and he's like, "Oh, thanks. The suit that would have fit me perfectly, you rip up."
Yeah, I forgot about that.
That was awesome.
Fucking awesome.
I love that scene.
Yeah, that was great.
7.55.
Stole my thunder. But with the unrealistic parts of it, Han being able to lift Chewbacca, Han just being able to take a beating from a Wookiee and get right back up with like no bruises, no nothing, completely fine.
Chewie using him to knock the support beam out of a prison cell.
That man would be broken.
Mm-hmm.
But I really enjoyed the movie. I'm entertained every time I watch it. So I'm gonna give it an 8.755.
Okay. I think that's the most decimal places we've gone out to in the show. All right, Doug, bring her home.
Okay. Han is wearing the Mud Trooper armor, which is impact resistant in that scene. Chewie is grabbing on to the side of the train car and also is lifting himself up. So Han is more of support than actual direct lifting.
Do you know how fast that train's going?
Yeah, there's also a gravity well around it, which they explain earlier in the scene. So,
Just rate the movie, Doug.
okay. I love all the little things about this movie that just spice everything up and just fill in all the little holes, like the Chewie ripping the arms off, the extra characters on the hollow chest table
Yeah.
that aren't there in the original trilogy because you see the 2 keys fly off when he bangs
When he
the
hits it.
table, and those 2 characters disappear off the screen. Like, that is fucking cool. Like, all of the little things, the attention to detail, the care and the love that they had in making this movie for the original trilogy, and all of the things that they do. Like, this is genuinely my second favorite Star Wars movie made under the Mouse umbrella.
So where's it at overall?
Oh, probably like 4.
Okay.
Yeah, I would actually say it's probably my second favorite Mouse Star Wars movie.
It
I'm
is
on
my
board with
second.
that.
Rogue One
Yeah.
was just like brilliant and
Oh, yeah.
perfect.
Yes.
You're
Too late for that one.
and you're wrong if you're disagreeing.
I tried watching it. I tried watching it for the second time, and I couldn't. It was super good the first time. Gives you a bunch of information. There's some action in it, but like the second time I watched it, I couldn't. It was so boring. I already knew everything, and I almost fell asleep.
Oh my god.
I know. I didn't think it
Was
was
it-
that bad. I
was it-
really enjoyed it, but
Was it not funny enough for you?
no, it was just like I couldn't get into it because I already knew everything that was happening. So like the first half of that movie is all like, oh, this is this way, and then you're like, oh, that's how that is, and then then the back half is all action. So if you already know everything that's already happened, like I thought it's a great first run. You watch the movie the first time, it's awesome. The second time I watched it, I was just like, I can't.
When I watched it again for the podcast, I loved it even more than every time I watched
Yeah,
it
I
before
think
that.
we're just gonna keep you on Drafty Tunes.
But
I'm just kidding.
it has everything that I wanted, and to me, sets up a clear sequel to where we find out about the life debt, because we don't know what the life debt is yet.
I thought it was just
Saving him from the stormtrooper prison.
no,
That's what I
or
thought, too.
when he pulls him up from the train.
no. A life debt is you have to basically it's
Save-
not like a Klingon honor thing. It's like Chewie's life belongs to Han now. And that's not just from pulling him off of a train.
Oh,
It's like a huge thing in a ceremony. It's like, we don't know what that is yet. We don't know anything about the cartel wars. We don't know anything about the Hutts. We don't know anything about all of the bounty hunters and why he's become this infamous character throughout the
So
galaxy.
can we get a Han Solo TV show instead of another movie?
I would be fine with that as long as they keep all the same actors.
yeah, that'd be good.
I would actually fucking love that.
In the vein of Mandalorian.
Oh, I was gonna say in the vein of Hercules' Legendary Journeys.
God damn it, Russell! You can't laugh like that close to the mic.
Anyway, because of all that, I give this movie a 10 because it
Whoa!
What?
plugs it fills in all of the holes.
He's Nathan.
You got a real hard on for this one, don't you?
It did everything it was supposed to do. It succeeded as a movie. What the movie was supposed to do, it did perfectly.
Okay.
I respect your opinion, but I'm glad that you can enjoy it in that capacity.
Here comes the
You
butt.
also what?
I said, "Here comes the butt."
No, I mean it's a good butt. You're welcome.
Thank you.
So,
Real good, but
you make me excited for a sequel. This movie didn't make me excited for a sequel, but you and the hope that is in your voice and is
Like a
instilled
new
in
hope?
you, like a brand new fucking hope, makes me excited for a sequel, which is a feeling I didn't have prior to this podcast.
I mean, I want Shane's idea to happen now. I don't want there to be a Solo 2. I want it to be a show.
Yeah. I mean, I want everything to be a show. Fuck movies. Why are we still
No,
making
I don't.
them?
I wouldn't want Star Wars to be a show.
Yeah, I feel like they should still have main movies, but then pepper in all the side back stuff.
Well,
with
the stuff they
TV
were gonna
shows.
do.
Oh,
They were originally gonna do a Seven Samurai as Jedi,
Yeah.
but this movie didn't do well in the box office, so that got scrapped. And that was supposed to be done by Zack Snyder. That would have been cool, but I wouldn't want to see that as a show.
I only want Zack Snyder to do visual directing.
I liked his Watchmen.
Yeah.
But I also know
Yeah,
everything
which
about
he
the
mostly only visually directed because it's damn near the comic book.
book. Yeah.
There's two
except
minor
the Manhattan
differences.
thing.
Well, so there's one big difference and a couple minor differences
In the whole ending.
And I think
Well, I mean, that's the Manhattan thing.
I thought you meant Doctor.
Yeah, well, no, Dr. Manhattan, like, being the thing instead
Yeah.
of the...
I personally think
Squid
the
monster.
movie
Yeah.
ending is
Aliens.
better.
Mm.
I like the ending to the movie better than
No, I like the original because it was like you didn't know what the fuck they were talking about. The whole
Yeah.
comic series, there's like this little piece where it's like, and then these two people were talking on a ship and you don't know why, and then they're dead, and you're like, what the fuck does this have to do with anything?
Mhm.
And then you get to the end and you're like, oh shit,
Yeah.
oh,
Oh,
shit.
shit.
Mhm.
Whereas like in the movie you don't have that.
And it's like, oh shit.
Well, I mean the movie's just like a whodunit.
Yeah,
And then
which
it
is
ends up
isn't
being
as interesting.
ridiculous.
It's not as interesting or as good, in my
Well,
opinion. But this isn't about the Watchmen.
We gotta do that because like
We're gonna do
the
it.
fucking I think
All right. We're at like an hour and a half now.
I didn't even pay attention to time. Who's the producer?
Yeah. I was trying to rein us in like 20 minutes ago. That's why I asked Andrew if he had any last points like 3 times.
Sorry, I only slept 2 hours.
All right, guys. If you want to get a hold of us, our Twitter and Instagram is at DraftyQ. You can find us on YouTube, Drafty Quarters Podcast Network, Facebook, Drafty Quarters Productions. Become a patron on Patreon, Drafty Quarters Productions. We have several tiers of contributions that you can do. All of them have different rewards. Right now, we have some unaired episodes that are on the $1 tier. The $5 tier we'll eventually have an RPG podcast once we're done making the system. It's going to have the Smooth Squirrel Presents DQP Shoulda Does. Have you guys done any episodes of that yet, Doug?
We are gonna start recording this weekend.
Okay, so in the next few weeks, there should be an episode of that.
I believe it will be Smokey and the Bandit.
Awesome. That's a good movie.
Yeah, you guys should have does it.
On the $10 tier, DQPD presents The Gospel of Winchester. We already have 2 episodes up of that. Third episode is going to go up soon. Actually, by the time you're hearing this, there's probably going to be 3 or 4 episodes up. There's also going to be a Crimson Ring No DQ watch along, which you've already recorded a couple episodes of that, right?
Yeah, I think we have 4, and then we record those weekly as well. So
Okay, so yeah, that's going to be weekly content. The $10 or the $5 tier is going to be monthly content. So the more you pay, the more shit you get, the more often you get it. You can reach us our email, draftyq@gmail.com, with your compliments, your questions, your derision, whatever you want to send us, as long as it's not nudes. The other podcasts also have Twitter, at Crimson Ring Pod, at Drafty Dames. Nathan has at Big Smooth _DQP, and Doug has at DQP Squirrely D. So, all those ways you can contact us if you want, or you can hit us up on Facebook. Like I said, go like us, share us, subscribe, get some Patreon going on. This has been DQP Does. We went over Solo, a Star Wars story. I don't have a quote for tonight because I didn't really care for the movie.
I know.
This has been a production of the Drafty Quarters Podcast Network.